everybody. Happy Sunday. Welcome back to Gale and I Sunday Chat. It's been a while. We've been kind of, putting things together. Took a little break to unwind, relax, get our mind right. And we're back in here again. So you're going to see us here from today, starting today, on to, I don't know when, but you're going to see us every Sunday at the same time, same day. So today, conversation, we have a special guest. Andrea is here with us to discuss, okay, about agile, something that's I heard about it, but I'm not really very familiar about it too much. So I'm very excited for this conversation. So Gail, I'm gonna let you get this going, get this started. The mic is all yours, girl.
Hi, everybody. Happy Sunday. And I know it's kind of very late, but Karen and I would still like to wish you a happy new year because this is our
Yes.
first live for 2023. And, Karen is your favorite virtual assistant. She's been doing lots of stuff in the background, as she said. And I am Gail,
Mhm.
your corporate trainer and facilitator. And, my superpower is to help managers get their teams on the straight and narrow when it comes to training and upskilling both professionally and personally. And today we are very, very happy to have Andrea with us because we think that having an agile mindset is so very important. And if it's one lesson that COVID 19 taught us was what we needed to be agile, not only one day, but for every single day. And we had to be, flexing and trying to learn to do new things constantly. So, Andrea, we wanted to invite you to our live Sunday chat. You are our very first guest for the year. So you're so special.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for
I
Yes.
feel
joining us.
special.
And so we're going to get the ball rolling. If you can tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got started, and then we'll just go straight into why you think it's important for us to have an agile mindset, and we'll go from there.
Okay, well, thank you both for having me on your first live back for the new year. I feel very special to be here. And when I'm here and talking to you guys, it always feels like I'm home. So thanks for the atmosphere of being so welcoming.
Thank
And
you.
my name is Andrea Pratt-Smith. I hail from the beautiful country of the Bahamas. It's a beautiful day here today. And I have been involved in the agile world for not too long, just probably 2 years, going on 3 years. And it seems like it's been a long time, but it's just been a short time. And I fell in love with agility because I've seen the benefit and how it can really transform not only personal lives, but businesses as well. I'm the founder of the first and only community of practice in the Bahamas for Agilists, the Bahamas Agile and Project Management Community. And I'm just doing my bit in this part of the world to bring awareness to agility.
Yes, that's wonderful. Congratulations on that. And she, like you
Mhm.
said, she is from the Bahamas, just like Gail. She's from Barbados in the nice weather. I digress because I'm in cold New York,
Yeah. Don't be a
but I'm
hater, Karen.
excited.
Don't be a hater. We
But
still love you.
for a lot of us, like a lot of us don't know what agility is. So can you explain to us what
Mhm.
exactly it is to have first of all agility and what it is to have an agile mindset?
Well, when you talk about agile, normally persons talk about the four values and 12 principles that encompass agile that originate from the Agile Manifesto that was designed by software developers who wanted to find better ways of working as far as delivering value and delivering their products to market. And so they came up with the Agile Manifesto that really is the foundational document for how agile is related in the agile world. But for me, I feel as though agility translates just synonymously with having a growth mindset. Like I don't see a difference in the two because
Mm.
once you have an agile mindset, you have a growth mindset. It just means that you look at opportunities in a different way, you handle failures in a different way, and you're always focused on continuous development.
Oh, okay. And I know you mentioned there's four different phases, I believe, correct?
Four values and
Four
12 principles
values.
in
So
the
can
agile.
we so can you briefly go through what are the
Or
values? So just
values,
for people,
yeah.
right? So people that don't ever heard of it, they know what exactly the four values are.
Well, I don't want to lose anyone in the audience. I could just say Google it, but I want for me it's a document and it's
Okay.
what's the bedrock of agility. But I want to talk about how you can develop that as a mindset and not just have
Mhm.
that document, because they're trying to relate it to different fields, but it's more for software development. So it gets
Ah,
lost in translation when you try to relate it to different fields of work and agile ways of working. But if you have an
Mhm.
agile mindset, you're not handicapped by just that document. It's a
okay.
whole different way of living. And for me, once you have that mindset, you are not just doing agile, you're being agile, and it translates in
Mhm.
everything that you do, and it becomes innate to your character. So,
Mhm.
I don't want anyone to say, well, okay, I'm just going to subscribe to what the agile manifesto
Yeah.
says.
Right.
It's like a whole mindset shift. You can pick from what it is that you find valuable from that document, but that's not the end all to it. It's more to having an agile mindset than just that document.
Yeah, and I like what you just mentioned that it's about becoming that, right? Not just thinking about it, but it's actually becoming that, having an agile mindset, not just in business like you mentioned, but also in your personal life. And according to you, what do you find are the struggles that people are having, maybe transitioning to having that kind of mindset?
Well, I think for individuals personally, they struggle with limiting beliefs.
Yeah.
And you can't have limiting beliefs that you can't overpower and say you have an agile mindset. They don't go together. Like, you
Mm.
have to be able to, when those imposter syndromes and all that doubt, and you telling yourself you can't do something, you have to get out of
Hmm.
that frame of mind and transition very quickly and tell yourself there's no such thing as can't, because with a growth mindset you always find a way to do something, and you
Mhm.
don't let obstacles or challenges, and we call them blockers, you don't cause those impediments to keep you in a place where you tell yourself you can't do something. You always think about, I can do it, I just have to find a way to do it.
Mhm.
Right. No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes
So is
sense.
that the bottom line for you then, Andrea? Like, one of the foundational things you tell an ordinary human being out there like us, always think you can do it. Always find a way to do it rather than find all of the ways that you cannot do something. And the agility in that is being able to come up with these different solutions rather
Yeah.
than, yeah. And I think as an entrepreneur though, that kind of, it's kind of hard because you have so many different things going on and you're trying to stay on top of all the work you have to do. It could be, finding clients, servicing the clients, making sure they pay you. Is so much different things you have going on, and it only takes a series of disappointments or, you know barriers to your success to happen, and then I think your agile mindset goes through the window because you feel overwhelmed. It's like, well, I can't be agile about nothing because these people trying to
Mhm.
kill me and I don't know where Andrea is or what she's saying. Or so what kind of encouragement can you give somebody, like, how do I actively and constantly cultivate this agile mindset that you're saying is good for me to have?
Well, my favorite quote is by Henry Ford, and that's, whether you think you can or think you can't, then you're right. And
Hmm.
as long as you have life, you will have challenges. But it's all about planning for those risks and those challenges that are going to present themselves. And what I do
Mhm.
personally is I vision for the whole year. And then I break that down into smaller increments, a 30, 60, 90-day plan. And I said, okay, if I'm trying to accomplish these goals, what can possibly hinder me from hitting those goals? And then I create a plan and say, if this happens, then I'm going to do this. So I incorporate all of my project management training, my agile training, and you always have a workaround, or you have a if then else kind of situation. If this happens, then I can do this,
Mhm.
else I can do
Hmm.
that. But you
Mhm.
can't
I
just
love
sit in it.
that.
You can't
Yeah.
sit in a position and say challenges are going to come and, oh, woe is me, I don't know how to get out of this. That mindset cannot exist if you want to be successful in life. You have to just tell yourself that challenges are going to come. It's
Hmm.
just a matter of
Mhm.
how are you going to deal with those challenges when they present themselves.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's true because a lot of, I mean, I think most of us at one point or another, we tend to not see the other side, right? We so stuck in this moment, in this situation, that we don't see past that situation. But that's a good point that you mentioned. I think I hope people take that in, you
Yeah, I
know.
thought it was very powerful actually.
Yeah, I hope, especially the quote of Henry Ford. It's a very,
Mhm.
listen, it's true. You are what you say you are. And if you say you're
Yeah.
not, then guess what? You're just not. right?
Yeah.
So
So, Andrew, do you do any resetting? Because sometimes you might have your goals and your plans, and then something happens and you have to reset. So, I like that you plan you
yeah.
envision your year and you have everything broken down into smaller like capsules. But then, if something happens, what process do you use to reset? Because I
Oh,
don't want
I'm
people to think that stuff is written in stone. You are free to reset because that's part
yeah.
of being agile. Is that not so?
Yes, it is. You have to have an element of flexibility in your planning. And I call it, for my personally, I call it a recalibration. So the
Mm-hmm.
same way when you're
Mm-hmm.
using your GPS and you're trying to get to a location and you take a wrong turn, what does the GPS say?
Recalculating.
Recalibrate,
Yeah,
recalibrating. So
recalibrating,
so that's what
recalibrating.
Hmm.
I do with my life. I set a goal. I have that roadmap in front of me. And if I take a wrong turn or if something comes and causes me to go in a different direction and steer from that path, I just recalibrate. So you just have to
Mm-hmm.
sit down, be silent, think about what it is that you need to do to reach that target. But don't develop the attitude that, okay, because this happened, then this cannot happen. It can happen. You just have to take another direction. And
Right.
I can give a real world example. I wanted to pursue becoming a certified Scrum trainer, and I was on that path last year. And then an opportunity came up for me to apply for a scholarship to become a professional Kanban trainer. And I was like, okay, this is an opportunity. This is not a challenge. This is an opportunity. So I could either say, well, okay, I don't want to be a professional Kanban trainer. Let me just focus on this Scrum trainer road. Or I could go through that door. And now I'm a professional Kanban trainer because it didn't stop me from wanting to become a Scrum trainer. It
Mm.
was just an opportunity. So and also, with the agile mindset, you have to be able to embrace opportunities just as well as you plan for risk and challenges and hurdles. You have to know when a door is being opened and when to walk through it. And don't think of it as, okay, this is not on my path. I wrote this down. This is not something I want to pursue. You have to have an open mind and say, listen here, this is a blessing in disguise. I'm the first and only professional Kanban trainer in the entire Caribbean region.
Oh,
I
wow.
could have said no. I could have said no, that's not on my plan. I didn't write that down for 2022. I don't want to pursue that. That looked like that's going to be a challenge. I don't know. Like I could have said so many things to tell myself that's not my route. But instead, I said, you know what? This is an
Mm-hmm.
opportunity. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity. This is making history. This is something that's going to advance my career. Yes, I'm a little afraid, but growth happens when you come out of your comfort zone,
Yes.
and that's something that a lot of people need to understand. That when you're afraid, that's a good thing. That means you're growing. Whenever you're comfortable, you have to question that. Why am I so comfortable? That means growth isn't happening in your life.
Yeah. No, that's true. I know I was watching a motivational by Oprah. She mentioned that so about leaning into your fear, right? Leaning to that fearful part. And I mean, this year I really been putting myself in uncomfortable situations, especially outside networking, which is not my thing. But I said, you know what? I'm just gonna do it. And I feel weird being there, honestly. But it's part of the growth that I'm trying to do. And I also wanted to ask for leaders, right? How can a leader um train, not train, but yeah, kind of help and lean into this team members, right? To adopt this agile mindset. Like what can they do to help their teammates? Because sometimes as a leader, you might have the mindset, but if your team doesn't have it, that kind of might hinder certain things. So what can they do to, just help they transition their teammates to that mindset?
Well, the first thing, you can look at it as having a leader who has that mindset already. But
Mm-hmm.
I like to start with looking at it as a leader from a leader's perspective who doesn't have an agile mindset and who still adapted that command and controlism way of
Mm-hmm.
working. And they use that whole intimidating their team members and their staff members or their employees into feeling as though, they weren't paid to think. I don't pay you to think.
Mm,
You're just here to work and you're just collecting a salary. And then we
mm,
wonder why so many persons are walking away from their jobs and
yeah.
feeling that, hey, they're dreading going to work. You should never be in a position where when Monday morning comes, you're dragging your feet and saying, "Oh, I have to be in this place again." You should be excited about the work that you're doing. You should be excited about where you're working, who you're working for, and the products that you're producing. You should be excited about working. And when you adopt an agile mindset and the agile ways of working, you feel empowered. Your leaders empower you because they know that, hey, you're the subject matter experts, you have the training, and they rely on you. And it all comes about when you create an environment of psychological safety. Like all the teams that I work on, the first thing I go after is trust, because I cannot give you orders or ask you to do anything for me if you don't trust me. If you don't trust me with your well-being, if you don't trust me to say I respect you and I have courage and I have, it's like all these different things that agility talks about is about empowering people, respecting them, giving them the courage to speak up when something isn't right, and having that environment where they thrive. It's all about bringing out the best in people. And so leaders who have this mindset, they care about people. It's not about managing. You can never manage people. You manage the work. You empower the people. You encourage the people. You support the people, but
Yeah.
you manage work, not people.
Yeah. I think that's a good one because a lot of people, and I feel like some leaders, they think it's to manage people, right? And I think that's where things go. People don't, oh, you can't, like you mentioned, you can't manage people, but I don't know why leaders, from my experience, right? They try to manage the people, what you can do, what you cannot do, what time, just regulate everything that you do. And it becomes an environment where then you hate it being there because you feel like you're being
I think
micromanaged.
it's our leaders see the people as representative of the work
Yes. Yes.
and not that they have to manage your work rather than the people, kinda. I think maybe that's how it is. Then we would go into the human resources conversation, which we're not here to talk about today. But I
Yeah.
think that Andrea is actually dropping lots of powerful information. Like it's a
Yeah.
lot to think about, really, especially in terms of the empowerment. And I think Andrea, too, a lot of us are responsible for our own empowerment. So if we have a job that we don't like, for like, it's what like for me, what am I going to do about that? That's not my boss's responsibility. They're not accountable
Mm-hmm.
for me or the mindset that I have. So, do you have any like tips, Andrea, for our listeners today that would help us, develop an agile mindset, and how do we move out to try to get this in the future, especially if we don't have it already?
Well, the definition of a growth mindset is that I believe that my intelligence, personality, and character can be continuously developed, and my true potential is unknown and unknowable.
Mhm.
So,
Ooh, it's got a word
so
there.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel
so
like saying preach.
Right.
so so for me, it's like you can never go wrong with adopting an agile mindset, because you realize that once you develop yourself and you work on yourself continuously, that you're a work in progress. You can never say I've reached the top and so now I can stop learning, or you hit this target and say, okay, that's it, I'm done. You always have this thing that there's always something about myself, whether it's my intelligence, my character, or my personality, that can be improved, and you continuously work towards those things, and you continuously see where improving on those aspects of your life can really be beneficial to your success.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay, so let's yeah. So let's talk about you have a just to pivot a little bit. I'm just gonna put as we talk, I'm gonna put the three tips in the comment and then up the screen for people to actually see them. And then of course I'm gonna for everybody watching, I am going to iterate these on the post with all the
Mhm.
tips and all the
Yeah.
links and all the
Mhm.
details. Okay. Um, so now let's talk about. I know you have a 3-day live event coming up. So can we talk a little bit about that?
Yes, actually, I'm working with Dr. Laura Aziz. We're developing a program about accelerating your success by redesigning your life. And we have a workshop that's coming up on February 3rd, 4th, and 5th, a 5 hours each day workshop, where we're going to be talking about creating vision, setting goals, understanding self awareness, power and strength, navigating change and transitions, and a lot of other topics that persons need skills in, and they need a deeper dive into how do I set goals, how do I know what's my vision, what's the purpose for my life. Like, you have persons who are walking around and they feel as though they have no purpose for their life. They just wake up every day and it's like, okay, let me go back on this hamster wheel. Life continues. I'm doing the same thing day in and day out. And they don't really have a purpose. They don't know why they are here. And so we're going to help them to discover their true purpose for their life, set visions, set goals, and just start to accomplish stuff and just be more productive.
No, go ahead, Gail.
No, I was saying I like that productivity thought, because it ties back into you as an individual as well. You know, you represent the productivity. How can you get there? What can you do? Are you doing it efficiently, effectively? So I like that the conversation, at least for me, is making me think of all the other questions I have to ask myself from that one comment you are making. And maybe what we can do in the future, Andrea, is we can come up just maybe with like 3 or 4 questions every individual should ask themselves based on what you are saying, to come to get more clarity, and to get their vision and their goals more, more aligned, especially where agility is concerned. But that's a really good point. What do you think, Karen?
No, I agree. Especially even for myself. When speaking for myself, there's a lot of things that you have mentioned that, like Gail just mentioned, I have to kind of self
Yeah, that you
reflect
don't
when it
even
comes
think
to,
about. Yeah.
yeah, especially to the growth mindset. I didn't honestly, I never heard it equivalent to growth mindset. I always heard it on a separate, like something
Yes.
different, right? And
Yeah.
you made it sound very simple. Like now you have to self-reflect. Are you carrying these? Are you doing this? To
Mm-hmm.
as far when it comes to your mind and the growth aspect of it. So I really thank you for that. I thank you for bringing it to the bite size in the simplest form, because I feel like sometimes people make things complicated when they don't necessarily have to be.
No, I think it's very, very simple. I think it's so simple that you can practice this daily. You could even teach your children. Like, I teach my daughter how
Yeah.
to be agile and how to think in agile ways, and she's learning Scrum, and she's really a mini me, a mini version of me, and I bounce everything off of her, and if she can understand it, like when I was preparing to teach my first professional Kanban course, I showed her the material and I taught her it, and I had her reteach her cousin, and
Oh
she's only 11,
wow.
and she was teaching him how to use the work in progress game.
Wow, that's amazing.
So it's like these principles and practices are very simple, and it all goes back to what you want to get out of your life. And I always think of it as, when I was studying computers in college, and they would say GIGO. And if you're familiar with that term, it's like garbage in, garbage out.
Doubt, doubt.
So
Mm-hmm.
whatever you put into your
Mm,
life is what you're going to get out. And persons sit on the sidelines and they complain about what they don't have, and
mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
they're jealous about what they see other people obtaining, but you don't know
Mm-hmm.
what's the grit, the grind, the hustle, and the hard work that goes into that
Yes.
person. It just doesn't
Mm-hmm.
happen overnight. It's like an iceberg. Success is at the top, but what is at the bottom of that iceberg?
Right.
And that's what people
Mm-hmm.
don't see, but yet they envy it, but they don't know what goes into it. Like, I'm up at 4 a.m. Who else is up at 4 a.m. working this? Who's doing
No,
this?
not me, Andrea. Nope, not
Not
me.
me.
Not me. I'm not a morning. I'll be up at 2 or 3 a.m. from the day before, but I will not get up.
Yeah,
Not
no, but
deliberately. Not deliberately at 4 o'clock in the morning.
but when you have so many different jobs and you're trying to do so many different projects, some things spill over into the next day. And even though
Yeah.
I have my Kanban board behind me and I try to limit my lip to one item at a time, if there's 50 things waiting on my backlog, I need extra time in my day. So,
Yeah.
I have to wake up at 4 a.m. sometimes to get started so that I can complete what I need to get done in a 24-hour period. But how many persons are sleeping until noon, and then they wondering why Andrea is here and Andrea is doing this and Andrea is doing that and I'm not? It's because what I'm going to put into it, the next average
Yeah.
person
It's
isn't
not.
willing to sacrifice that.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's true. Yeah, I mean, that's true. It's based on what you're willing to sacrifice to get success, whatever that is for you. Because success is it's a, excuse me, individual thing, right? So I think you're right. It's sort of based on what you're willing to sacrifice to get to the other side. But I know you mentioned Kanban and Scrum Master a few times. So for those who might never heard, what exactly is Kanban and Scrum Master?
Okay, well, I'm an advanced Scrum Master certified through the Scrum Alliance, and I'm also a professional Kanban trainer certified through prokanban.org. And both of those are agile frameworks and strategies that Scrum teams or Kanban system members use to deliver value. So I always look at it like both are just delivering value. Scrum has roles and ceremonies and different things that a Scrum team goes through as far as what's described in a Scrum guide. I know I'm lost in some people right now. And then Kanban uses a visual based pull system. So if you look behind me, you'll see my Kanban board. All it
Uh-huh.
is that I have my ideas or my task, and I move them through this system on this board, and I limit my work in progress. So all it is that even though you're trying to accomplish so many different things, you only can really work on one thing at a time. And if you
Mm.
tell yourself that you're great at multitasking, that's a lie, because there's no such thing as being great at multitasking. You can
That's funny.
effectively work on one thing at a time, because content switching is what it's called. It shows you that the more things you work on, the more errors you enter into your system.
It's funny that
Because
you mentioned that because some people really believe
Yeah,
they
she's
like
just
want to.
calling me out, Karen. She's just calling me out in public.
yes, no,
I don't
but
get a lot of errors, but my
no,
work in
but
progress is scary.
you can prove it. It's been proven. Like if you try to take a phone call and send an email at the same time,
Same time. Yeah.
you will be
Yeah.
rereading that email and talking on the phone. And how many times you have to reread that email before you click send?
Yeah.
Versus if
10
you had just
million.
taken that
10
call,
million.
then work on that email, and just be done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Andrea.
For the people out there,
She said what she said.
right?
And she said it
So,
with a smile.
Yeah, I've learned from my mistakes. So
Yes,
I've
so many we laugh, but so many of us do it, Andrea. Like I
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I the take the call, try to send an email, try to be on the live listening to what the person is saying. And at the end when everything is finished, you haven't done anything because
no,
your
Yep,
mind was torn between too
that's
many
true.
different things and you couldn't give any one thing the focus that it
yeah,
deserved so that you could close it out from your work in progress. I'm learning so much,
No, yeah, that's
really.
true. No, she's right. Listen,
yeah.
call it
Yeah,
spade for
yeah.
spade.
Call a spade a spade. Let's
Right.
dig ourselves into this hole, Karen.
All right. So, how can we on closing? I want to know how if anybody want to get in touch with you, how can they connect with you, Andrea?
Well, the fastest way to connect with me is through LinkedIn. My LinkedIn profile is my same name, Andrea Pratt-Smith, and Karen just dropped it in the chat.
Hmm.
And once you connect with me, I will connect back with you. And if you want to private message me about anything you have, any questions you have about agility or Kanban or upcoming training that I'm offering, or anything, if you just want to say hi, Happy New Year, I'll respond.
So please follow Andrea, guys, and get on myself. If what we're saying is interesting to you, right? But
Hmm.
definitely follow
Yeah.
Andrea for more tips on agility. Anything with Kanban. I keep saying it all. I'm sure Kanban, Scrum
Kanban.
Master. Any questions in regards to that? I'm sure she's the right person that could guide you if you might be interested. Because I'm sure people sometimes are interested, but they don't know how to go about it. So
Hmm.
listen, just reach out any questions you might have, she will definitely hit you back and follow back as well. And I am also going to add her email just in case, some people might want to send the email to be more formal, I guess. I don't know. But
Hmm.
I'm going to add your email as well on here. Guys, thank you for today's live. I am so under to you. Thank you so much. Like I said before, just for making this topic easy, right? And just if a child could do it, we can. Right? If her daughter is teaching courses, then we can all get
Correct.
it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, yes, yes,
Yes,
yes.
so
So
thank you,
encouraging.
Andrea. Like it was a very, very interesting conversation, and I found it was very powerful. Some of your thoughts
Yeah,
that you
yeah,
shared,
definitely.
and I'm sure that we might need to come back and do a part two to expand on some of those.
Yeah.
But we wanted to thank you for taking the time to join us, and of course, in addition to following Andrea, I'm going to invite everybody who's watching us today to follow myself as well as Karen.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll be back again next Sunday at
Yes, yes, yes,
12:30
yes.
EST, 1:30 AST, and I
See.
don't know the other time zones, but wherever you are, make sure you ask Google to do a conversion for you. That's what I do. And yeah,
Yes.
thanks everybody for joining us, and we will see you next
Yep,
Sunday.
yes, ma'am.
Bye.
Agile
Thank you both of you.
101.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
it was
Bye.
welcome.
fun. Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.
Bye.